Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering creativity. I'm Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Sterling Elliott, who is a Sphinx artist, world-renowned cellist. I am so excited to have Sterling on the show. Welcome, Sterling.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
So I need to share with our audience, I have had the deep, deep, deep honor and joy to be able to see so much of your trajectory and development as a musician. And I would even just go farther and I would just say artist and citizen artist, and the impact that you have not only through the music, but who you are and the way that you engage with audiences and communities. It really is truly extraordinary. And to share with our audience, and of course, this episode is co-curated with the Sphinx organization. Sterling holds a very unique role in history, being, but correct me if I'm wrong, the only person who has participated in initially SPA, as Sphinx loves to call it, but the Sphinx Performance Academy. So that is, high school students primarily. Then went on to the Sphinx competition, which only a few have gone from that to be able to go on, winning not only the junior division, but also the senior division of the competition, and then going on to be a recipient of Sphinx's highest honor. It bestows the Sphinx Medals of Excellence, and also serving as a juror for the Sphinx competition ultimately. Did I get that all right?
That is correct.
And Sterling is the only person on this planet to achieve all of that. And of course, that's just specifically related with Sphinx programs. If you just look online, you'll see the extraordinary performances and accomplishments across the board. So it really is truly exciting to be able to talk with you. So one of the things what I wanted to kind of say first is, obviously there are a series of these, accomplishments that you've had. I referenced Sphinx, but on Arts Engines, we like to think about and talk about and share the role of arts leaders and the role of arts organizations. And so I was wondering, could you kind of speak to, as you think about both the Sphinx trajectory specifically, but also any other arts institutions that kind of had an impact? I'm curious now that, you're just at an extraordinary professional place in your life, as you look back on your trajectory, how would you kind of either describe or speak to the role that arts institutions played in your trajectory?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's huge, these sort of helping hands along the way. I think for any career path, any sort of large goals, they always say that it takes a village for anything that is substantial. And I think that to be absolutely true, especially for myself. You think of, for example, my field and what I've done, music, classical music. And you take what is hopefully a budding talent or a big desire. And I mean, from the very beginning, of course, you need an instructor to learn how to do that thing. But as far as organizations go, um, before I had before I had started participating with Sphinx, I was just a young kid who was playing music as just a hobby and a discipline from my sort of parents' instruction. And at least where I was growing up in Virginia, there wasn't so much of that sort of community, or I didn't have much of a purview of what else was going on in my immediate area. And so it was only really when I first started participating in the Sphinx organization that was the first institution that sort of specifically looked at me and offered that very first nurturing hand. And it's clearly been a massive relationship over the past now perhaps 15 years it's been. But I think one of the key roles and at least the music field is just opportunity. There's so many points amongst my career, my life, where these doors only appear when someone on the other side wants a door to be there. There are so many tiers and walls to whether it's things like Carnegie Hall or massive concert halls, orchestras, professional jobs, conservatories, or even private lessons. All of these things require some sort of hurdle or a wall. And it's really only when people on the other side of these institutions or in organizations are willing to open that door and allow people to come in. So it's definitely something that I think is absolutely crucial for multiple steps along the way of any sort of a career.
It's totally, totally awesome and amazing. And as you think about that, is there like on your trajectory, is there a moment that stands out? I'm sure there are several, but kind of is there you could share with us where you're like, this was a key thing. When this occurred, X happened. Like, if this wouldn't have occurred, I wonder if the rest of my trajectory would have, kind of continued. Are there any moments like that you have?
Yeah, I mean, so going back to this very first large institutional sort of helping hand, band camps for musicians are a super crucial point of their life. It's the first time usually that these kids get to go outside of their home and be amongst like-minded peers and colleagues. And it's the first time we get to step away from our parents and realize, okay, is this something that is coming from my own being, something I truly love, or is it just something that we do in the household? And so for me, I was 12 years old when I went to the Sphinx Performance Academy, and I first was staying in dorms and just every single day was immersed into this lifestyle of eating, sleeping, drinking, music. Everything was music and being amongst similarly impassioned kids. And it was the first time for me that I not only was displayed the level of of dedication that this field could achieve, but it was also that was certainly the moment for me when I realized, oh, this is a thing that I'm doing, not just an after school activity. This is something that makes my heart flutter. This is something that I feel a connection to people on a level in which I've never felt before, with people especially I've never met. That was really, I think, the single brewing point that has been the flame for my entire trajectory since.
Oh my gosh, it's so, so awesome. And I want to ask you now about how do you think about and view your role with young people, your role in community, your role as an arts leader. But just before that, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't at least kind of share a brief comment or ask you a question about also the role of family. You have a really unique musical family that have played such a role in your life, obviously, and especially your mom. And just wondering if you can kind of share that aspect of and how that contributed to your life in music.
Absolutely. It couldn't be a more crucial point. The whole reason why I play and any of my family members play is because my mom first had a love for violin. And to take it even one step further briefly, the only reason why she has a love for music is because there was one very dedicated instructor and artist and violinist who visited her middle school and offered her to play the violin. And not just that, but went 5 steps beyond and offered her free lessons for a number of years until she was able to take it to the college level. And that's truly the only reason why she had the passion for violin. And and of course, her being an amazing mother is the reason why she wanted to pass on that love for music to us as her kids. And I'm the youngest of three siblings, and getting to see my oldest, my brother Brendan, getting to see him pursue music on a serious path, especially a professional path, going to conservatory, doing the auditions, the videotapes, seeing that all first. I mean, um, I'm incredibly grateful. He's done so much, and I think any younger sibling has it in a way easier because we are going to fall on our path to doing anything, and to be able to learn from someone else's successes and mistakes before you even get to try it is it's a massive privilege, and so it's been a vital role for me as
It's
well.
it's amazing. And so now that you're in this position of leadership yourself, any thoughts or do you think about continuing that legacy or the role that you play when you go about doing performances? You're, about to be in Europe and on a world tour and a host of different performances. Does that play and do you reflect on your role now that you need to have as a leader?
Absolutely. It's funny because as a artist, as a cellist, there's so many different roles that you're playing. Primarily, what I do from day to day is go on stage and play for hundreds, if not thousands, of people, which is highly impactful. But there's also the role that I love to play as being an educator or being a sort of ambassador within communities on a much smaller scale. So I also try my best, between tours to find opportunities to meet with local community whether that be youth orchestra programs, or whether that be just going into schools, going into local venues and doing small performances there, being able to actually not just connect with the community and local artistry on a smaller level, but also verbally getting to talk to people, hopefully form relationships, providing lessons, providing an outlet for people to ask questions and to give the same sort of extension that I have been given so many times. And it's difficult to do it on such a broad scale when you're in a certain city or country for only 2 to 3 days. But I do find it important because if there's anything that my family's story has told me, my mom's story has told me, it only takes one moment and one person to change an entire life or even generations. And so that's what keeps me pushing for just the next opportunity. I know they're all equally as important.
It's incredible, and just your ethos as a musician is absolutely inspiring. And so, unfortunately, we are just about out of time. But I always like to ask of all my guests, right? This joy, this passion you have for your artistry, right? It's so clear. It's just, it's bubbling, right? And just and infectious to, anyone who talks to you and obviously your audiences and all of that. But touring all of this, there's got to be some tough days. There has to be days where there might be some challenges. And just curious if you could share with our audience when you are facing like the toughest of times, is there anything you do? Do you have a mechanism or do you have an approach that helps you when times are the toughest?
Yeah, I absolutely do. It's a sort of it's a mindset that I love to apply when I can. It's this realization that everything that you are currently doing and will be doing has seemed impossible at some point. And that could be something as rudimentary as walking seemed impossible to you at some point, probably reading. Um, Maybe it's where you are in your life currently, high school, middle school, college. Playing a certain level of a piece. Everything has always seemed impossible. And so the reason why I like to remind myself that is that when I face that, no matter what stage in life, I know that it's not the barrier that it seems to be. Everything that we already do has been overcome. And although you're not able to see it in that moment, doesn't mean that there should be any lack of a dedication to not only pursue and seek out something that's beyond this invisible wall, but anything is possible. Anything is already possible. We've already achieved the impossible, and I won't stop. Won't stop now.
Sterling Elliott, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for everything you do for your audiences. Thank you so much for everything you've done to the Sphinx and for the Sphinx family. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.